Hi there, everyone. Bob Black here with Richmond basketball coach Chris Mooney. Time to get caught up on what's been happening with Spider Hoops since the magical March run finished up. And Chris, and first of all, thanks for the time, because I know time has been at a premium. Past 6 or 7 weeks, maybe the word whirlwind isn't even strong enough to describe what you and the rest of college basketball has been going through. How would you frame it?
Yeah, we've been as busy this particular 6-7 week period since the first summer we got here. And, when you're first here, obviously, you're just returning phone calls and meeting people and doing all those things. And this has just been so busy that the landscape of college basketball has changed so dramatically in such a short period of time. And we found ourselves right in the middle of it. And then especially with a couple of coaching changes and coaching hires, that has really put a premium on everybody's time. And as soon as we got back from Buffalo that Monday, we hit the ground running and have been at it ever since.
So if my roster management is correct, you had 6 scholarship spots to fill, the 4 super seniors and 2 guys who transferred. And of the guys coming in, only 1 is a high school freshman. You had kind of warned us that Richmond would be getting into the transfer portal, that we had to. What was that process like?
So it's pretty interesting. It does put, there's a very positive part of this, in that the players have the ability to transfer, not sit out a year. It used to be a coach or the administration could put certain restrictions on the transfer. Those things have been done away with, which is a positive. And the immediate eligibility is also something most likely positive for some of the players. But that's put more guys in the position to transfer. I think the number is over 1,600. Yeah. And then it makes you, as a staff, monitor who you think might transfer. And so then there's a fine line. You don't want to go across that line by contacting someone that player played for in high school or AAU. But you want to make sure you're listening and trying to read some things to see if somebody is going to be transferring. And so it's a massive change. And the positive part is for Richmond, and hopefully and likely for other schools, you're able to recruit a player who is produced in college and he's done some positive things at this level, and you're less projecting what an incoming freshman might do, and you're more evaluating what somebody has already done.
All right, well, let's talk about the 3 transfers coming in. And the other good part of that in our world is we already have pretty good highlights of them from their previous schools. So you'll get a glimpse of the 3 guys who are coming in. Start with the 7-footer, Neil Quinn from Lafayette.
Yeah, so Neil is a guy who's mainly in the transfer portal because his coach, Fran O'Hanlon, retired. Fran O'Hanlon, a Philadelphia legend, and he has played 3 years in college. Because of the COVID bonus year, he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. Neil's a 7-footer who's really an excellent player. Shot 55% from the field, has really a great array of post moves, very comfortable handling the ball. Averaged 4 assists per game, had assist games of 8 and 9 during the year. Something unique for a big guy, although for Richmond, fairly common that we've seen big guys who can pass. And because we feature the center, we play through the center so often, we think that he's really an excellent player and has a chance to have a great career at Richmond, given the fact that he's already done so well. And now, moving to a level where the players on his team are at his ability level, and who can both help him to score and he can help them to score. We think that'll be a very good player.
All right, next up, I think chronologically, is the transfer from Wofford, who we actually saw in a game last year, had 10 points against the Spiders, Isaiah Biglow. Did you go back and watch that tape, and what kind of attracted you to him?
We did. Isaiah, well, number one, we knew about him when he was a high school player. He's from Greensboro, North Carolina. He is a very good player. Again, somewhat in the mold of what we've had at Richmond and had success with. 6'7" forward who's athletic and skilled, made a lot of three-point shots during his career at Wofford, and fluid and versatile. And I think that he's someone who's a very good rebounder, but also somebody who can handle the ball, who can shoot three-point shots, who defends, and we're excited. We played Wofford twice. He didn't play during the COVID year, but he played us this past year down at Wofford and played very well and has had a good run. And while he's a graduate transfer, he has 2 years of eligibility also.
All right. And that brings us to the final one, was the Southern Conference Rookie of the Year. Speaking of shooting the three ball, Jason Roach from the Citadel coming to the Spiders.
Yeah, Jason, really unique story. He's from Berkeley, California, and winds up at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. And in the meantime, had prepped at a school in Connecticut for a year, and they didn't get to play because it was the COVID year. So he went to the Citadel, and he did extremely well. He made 110 three-point shots, I think top 5 in the country. That's an extraordinary amount of three-point shots. I think Kendall Anthony's high year might have been 80 or 81. So imagine that many more than Kendall was able to make. A great shooter, a really, really good, competitive, tough-minded young man. Again, he really embraced the Citadel and was looking forward to completing his career there. And their coach, Duger Balcom, who used to be the VMI coach, was let go. When that happened, he entered the transfer portal, had interest from a lot of high major schools, and chose Richmond. And we're really thrilled that he's going to be here.
All right, let's not to be lost in the shuffle is the freshman that you're bringing in, Michael Walls. What do you expect will be his progression with a team full of, college veteran players already?
Yeah, I think Mike, a couple of advantages that Mike has is that he's different from a lot of freshman big guys. He's strong. He has a strong body, a good frame, and he already uses that physical part of the game. Not to say that he'll be as strong as Grant toward the end of his career, but he comes in stronger than most of those guys. And he's a really good player. Similar, again, that he can pass the ball very well. He can shoot the ball from three-point land. He scores in the post. I think that, he has a chance to have a great career at Richmond because he is so versatile at his size, at 6'10", and is going to play hard. With every freshman, there's a learning curve and a competitive learning curve. But I think that given his competitive nature and his size and physical play, I think that he'll be on the front end of that to a certain degree and has a chance to be a very good player.
So back to my roster management here. That's 4 of the 6 vacancies. The other 2 filled, obviously, by Matt Grace and Andre Gustafsson returning. What did that mean to you and to the program for those guys to return for that 5th year?
Yeah, that means, that really means everything to us. I had mentioned when the seniors came back last year, the super seniors, and they had done it, they didn't enter the portal and compare and contrast Richmond. They didn't ask for any concessions to be made on their behalf. In fact, they were just as involved in recruiting and workouts and everything their whole time. And that meant a lot to me, the way they did it, that they were invested in Richmond. And very similar for Matt and Goose. I think that the only interest that they were going to return, they just had an interest in what they would study and how they would go about this next year, because they've both been undergrads the whole time and graduated, just this past week. So, it means a lot because I feel like, one, that's a great precedent for Richmond to have, and it's incredibly rare and unique. And then, they've been such a great part of our team and great part of our program, and they've each really contributed in a massive way, even with such a strong class ahead of them. And so, we love those guys and are so happy to have them back, and think they can have exceptional 5th years.
So if it's not enough that you had to deal with all the player movement, you also had to deal with coaching movement as well. And for as long as Grant Golden and Jacob Gilliard have been here, no one had been here longer with you than Rob Jones, who left to go to Liberty, and Kevin Hovde, who left to go to Florida. Tell us about the changes there with the promotion of Will Geip and bringing former Spider captain back in Peter Thomas.
So I think I think they're great moves by both Rob and Kevin. I think that just like you don't replace Jacob or Grant, it'll be hard to replace Rob. It'll just kind of mean everybody has a little bit more responsibility throughout the organization. He really gave so much to the program, and I think it's a great move for him to be the associate head coach at Liberty, a place where he, really admires, has become good friends with Richie McKay, and I think they'll do great things. And then Kevin Hovde, an opportunity to go to Florida. 7 years ago, he was the volunteer assistant coach at Columbia. Now he's the assistant coach at the University of Florida. So that's a great thing for both those guys. Will Geip, I think he's done a tremendous job for us, that everybody in the program or has traveled with us could recognize the job him and Mark McGonigal have done. And he's also has a tremendous recruiting knack and an appetite for recruiting, a great knowledge of it, and a love for recruiting that I think will make him a tremendous assistant coach. And then we were able to bring Peter Thomas back. So Peter was a junior in my very first year here, and we gave him a scholarship. He reminds me that we had plenty to give, but we did give him a scholarship for his final 2 years. I think he started every game, and then was the director of operations for us for a few years. And one of our favorite guys and players, and so happy to have him back. He was at Campbell for 9 years with Kevin McGeehan, a former Spiders assistant. And I think Peter, he loves Richmond. He loves the program. He recruited an NBA player at Campbell and Chris Clemens. He's demonstrated his ability as an assistant coach on all levels, and I think that he'll do a great job for us.
Absolutely. Last one for you, Chris, for this visit, and just love talking Spider hoops and getting caught up with you. We loved last year. Everybody loved last year. How do you go about, what's the process of turning the page, to use kind of the cliche, to move on from a great season and start thinking about next year?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think maybe I've read coaches doing this, and maybe if I was a little bit younger, they throw the trophy in the trash can, right, and talk about.
Please don't do that.
But I think that we need to use it as a catapult to a certain degree of, this is what we were able to accomplish, and that the highs and lows that I experienced last year and for all of Grant's career, individually as a team, those losses and a long flight home or a long trip home, those are hard, but that builds who you are, and it defines to a certain extent what you need to do to get even better. And so I think for this group, guys were, everybody's a part of winning and winning a championship and playing in the NCAA tournament. And we want to build on that and not depend on last year, but not dismiss last year, and just continue to talk about the processes that all of us have to go through. And that starts with our summer workouts and how we're going about our business and our weight room. And it needs to impact every single thing that we're doing, to have that hunger and desire to get back to that place, which we know we've lost great players and we've lost players with tremendous experience, but we're not an inexperienced team either coming back, partly because of the transfer portal. And so just trying to build off of, not necessarily build off of the games or the Iowa game, building off that, but build off those experiences, those shared experiences that we have. Bring those new guys in, make sure they understand what Richmond basketball is, and try to use the right amount of that success to continue to build and grow.
Looking forward to seeing these Spiders in action, and great catching up with you. Let's do it again soon, Chris.
Sounds great. Thank you, Bob.